I'm Jess Sargis, high-performance speaker, certified mental performance mastery coach, and your guide to mastering your mental game. I went from Ivy League trained attorney to undefeated MMA fighter and back again. Now I help high achievers in any field live with fierce agency, deep alignment, and the power to win consistently when it matters most. You can do it all when you train your mindset, energy, and focus like elite athletes. That's why this is the Legal Athlete Podcast, where each week I use neuroscience, performance psychology, and real-world battle-tested strategies to help you unlock sustainable excellence, bold decisions, and the courage to show up each day as the badass you are. Green light. Let's go. Hey friends, welcome back to the Legal Athlete Podcast, where you get insights and tools on how to train your body, your brain, and your spirit for high performance with integrity, energy, and purpose. I'm your host, Jess Sargis, high performance keynote speaker, mental performance and leadership coach, and former trial lawyer and MMA fighter. And today's episode might just change the way you look at one of the most universally painful human emotions, regret. We'll talk about what regret is, why we feel it so deeply, the science behind it, and how to use it as a powerful compass to get back in alignment with your values. I'll share a personal story that's been with me for 30 years and how I'm finally making it right this summer. So let's jump in. Let me tell you a story I've never forgotten. It's June 25th, 1995. I'm 18 years old, standing in a black dress and graduation gown with my high school class in a lakeside park in my tiny hometown of Skaneateles, New York. We've just thrown our caps in the air, and all around me, my classmates are laughing, shouting, and racing towards the lake. Because there's a tradition that we have. Every year, the graduating class jumps into Skaneateles Lake together after the ceremony. It's an adventurous hell yes, not just to celebrating graduating, but also the leap into adulthood. But I didn't jump in. Why? Because I was wearing a dress with a tag that said dry clean only. See, it was a gift from my big brother who bought it for me as a surprise with his own money, and I didn't want to ruin it. I thought it was more important at the time to follow the rules and be responsible, practical, respectful of others' feelings, and deny my own as less important. So I watched my classmates leap into adulthood, literally, while I stood on the shore. Now it's 30 years later, and I still regret not jumping in that lake. So do you think I'm doomed? Do you think that means something like a permanent black mark in my life? No. Here's the truth. Regret is a signal. It's a flashing light that says that mattered to you. And it's never just about the moment. It's about the why underneath it. That story taught me the cost of prioritizing perfection over presence, of predictability over adventure, of following a script instead of writing my own. Neuroscience tells us that regret is one of the most cognitively complex emotions. It requires us to simulate an alternate reality in our brains, to imagine what might have been. It lights up the orbitofrontal cortex, the same brain region involved in decision-making and reward. That's why we feel regret in our gut. It's not subtle, it is visceral, and it's often easier to recognize than quieter emotions like dissatisfaction or unease. In fact, a 2011 study by psychologist Neil Reese found that when elderly people reflect on their lives, their biggest regrets tend to be inactions more than actions. It's not what they did that haunts them most. It's what they didn't do. The lake they didn't jump into. Why? Because inaction leaves a blank page where a story could have been, and our brain is still imagining one. So what do we do with regret? Enter growth mindset, the concept pioneered by psychologist Carol Dweck. A growth mindset says you are not fixed, you're learning, and mistakes are data, not destiny. With a fixed mindset, regret is a dead end. It becomes shame. We ruminate, we shrink. We don't need to do that. With a growth mindset, regret becomes your teacher. It's a motivator and a clarifier. You ask yourself, what does this regret show me about what I value? What story do I want to write now? And where can I choose differently today? Regret is just misalignment made visible, made a part of your feelings. And that is actually a powerful gift if you know how to use it. And that's what we're doing today. And that brings me back to the lake. 30 years after that graduation ceremony, I'm going back. On July 11th, I'm going to be meeting up with my old classmate and fellow entrepreneur, Ben Riley. Now, Ben and I were grade school math rivals. We were in the same honors classes together from first grade to 11th when his family moved out of the school district. And what I didn't know until yesterday was that we both have this same regret that we didn't jump in the lake when we graduated high school. But this summer, we're making it right. We're going to go back to that same park on Skaneateles Lake in our hometown with our friends and families, and we are jumping in together like our own real-life episode of Quantum Leap. It's silly, it's symbolic, but it is joyful action, and it matters because regret doesn't have to be the end of the story. Sometimes it is just the pause, even a 30-year pause, before you write a better story. So here's my invitation to you. Think of a regret that still sits with you. What does it reveal about your values, about what matters most to you? And what small action could you take this week to move back into alignment with those values, to jump in your lake, so to speak? Regret doesn't mean you failed. It means you care. And when paired with self-compassion and a growth mindset, regret can be the most powerful fuel for change you've got. So use it. Green light. Let's go. Jump in a lake. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Legal Athlete Podcast. If today's episode fired you up or gave you something to train with, hit follow, leave a review, and share it with a fellow high achiever who's ready to raise their game. Want to bring this energy to your team, firm, or event? Or are you ready to train for your next high-stakes moment with me directly? Click the link in the show notes to connect. I'm Jess Sargis, and I coach the bold, lawyers, leaders, and anyone ready to lead their life with fierce agency. Green light. Let's go.